Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had a draft day trade as we traded away Helenius, got back a future first round pick for next season and a second round pick from the Red Wings. So we kind of made a little bit of an adjustment, but the good thing is our team is still going to be good. The reason why we traded Helenius is because one, Jaqueezi is ready to jump into our top 6, and we locked him up on a great contract at 8 by 8.8. This guy brings a good amount of offense on both the penalty kill and also on the power play, and also 5-on-5. Just came off a 40-goal season, so I'm hoping he could just continue to build on that, considering he's going to be getting more ice time this season. And yeah, our team in general is still very solid on paper. However, we are probably going to be making still a couple adjustments in this episode just to make sure we are ready to go for another year. But it's going to be exciting just to see what this team is like. Obviously, we do have Bickle, who is going to be jumping up to the NHL this season. His potential went from low elite to medium elite, which is kind of weird considering he's already 23 and he's only an 81. So I don't think he's going to keep that medium elite potential, but he still could end up being like a good second line center maybe at best. But still, I'm very excited to see what he could do, considering you look at his passing stats and his offensive awareness. If we have him on the power play lines and stuff like that, he should be able to become a very good player for us and maybe a future top 6 center down the road once maybe like Michael Meese is off the team or something like that. But yeah, our team is still very solid in terms of depth. The one thing that we are going to be probably addressing is our defensive core and goaltending a little bit, because I gave you guys a little bit of a predicament. I didn't get any feedback on this predicament, but basically we have Rantanen and Scarlett and Bishop who are all contending for that top 6 spot. Now Bishop's listed as a depth defenseman, so I am going to be using him as a depth defender. However, Scarlett and Rantanen are both top 6 defenders, so we probably have to get rid of one or two. I'm kind of leaning towards Rantanen just because his potential's worse. That's probably the only reason I would move Rantanen. Also the fact that he's a left defenseman, Scarlett's a right defenseman, one's a two-way, one's a defensive defenseman, so I might trade away Rantanen. If I don't trade away Rantanen, I'd probably be pairing this Scarlett with the backup goaltender in Scarlett, because he is a pending UFA and Stanley King is already that guy. So we're probably, if we're going to do any trades, it's either we're going to trade away Rantanen and we're going to trade away probably the backup Scarlett to get ourselves a better backup or something like that. Or we are trading both Scarletts together to basically get ourselves a backup in a pick or something. Or we could just trade straight up for picks and sign ourselves what we need. But I'm not too exactly sure what we're going to do. But yeah, Logan Scarlett's a pending UFA at the end of the season, and we already have our number 1 guy. And we also still have Scarlett, who has RFA status here on defense. But I don't think we're going to hold on to him potentially, or Rantanen, one of the two of those guys, just because of the fact we have a little bit of a logjam on the defensive side of things. We don't really have much prospects in terms of defense, which kind of sucks. So I'm hoping that some of these guys start to develop really well. But we do have some unsigned guys like Backer and Goddard who might be able to make it to the NHL in a few seasons if we're lucky. And yeah, we could probably, I guess, sign some players too at some point. Yeah, our team is still going to be very good next season. I think I might use Fairchild, Cam, or Rafalski as like a depth forward, just because obviously those guys are pretty much not going to grow anymore. But yeah, NHL-wise, we're going to have a very, very solid roster. So there is that. And yeah, let's get into your guys' comments before we get into free agency and simming up to the start of next season and seeing what our team is able to simulate and hopefully it is pretty damn good. So the first comment is from Ezra Hambrick, who says, I know he was great for the team, but I'm honestly glad you no longer have Stankoven on your team. His picture that EA gave him just freaks me out. Uncanny Valley or something like that. Facepalm. At least now I won't have to see it as much. And yeah, but it's kind of a weird photo that they chose for Logan Stankoven. I don't know if they did a really weird Photoshop job or something like that. We're trying to maybe make him look a little bit brighter. But you can see his face just looks like... It looks like they basically used a blur tool or something like that to blur portion of his face. It just, I don't know. It's just very disturbing to look at. But also getting rid of him is kind of nice in a sense, like what you were saying, because it's going to be interesting to see what the two Misas do as the top line centers this season, because Luke Misa will also be getting promoted to the top 6 this season, so he will still get to play with Jaqueezi just like he was before. But yeah, basically we'll have Michael Misa, Luke Misa together. Lucius still will be playing as a winger, Groshek will be a winger on the top 6, Jaquezie, Irving. So our top 6 should be pretty damn good. And then Wilson will be able to hopefully give that third line some offense as well, which will be interesting next to somebody like Bickle, because I think that would be a great combination. And Enroth maybe even will be on that third line as well, even though he's a little bit lower end. It still should be interesting to see what he could do, considering he is a sniper with really good shooting, and he would be playing next to Bickle, who has very good passing. The only thing that does suck, though, is Luke Misa and Lucius are both pending UFAs at the end of the season as well, but we could always make some adjustments after we let them go. Like, I'm hoping that maybe Bickle could take over for the two of these guys if he gets good enough growth, or even Goldman for that matter, considering he's our actual medium elite prospect. And our last and final comment is from Sandro Otaku. Says, not a great draft, but I'm sure a few of those picks that will at least pan out at the AHL level. The Jaquezie contract is good value for everything he brings to the team, and it shouldn't be too hard to move should the need arise. And that's true. I think that contract we gave him, if we need to actually move him down the road, isn't one of those contracts that like a team isn't going to be able to afford, because it's really cheap. If you go to like our contract situation here, based on who's making the most money, you can see Jaquezzi's the third most paid player on this team. He's making more money than Vandermeer. He's making more money than Irving, Groshek even. So we are doing pretty good in terms of balancing our salary cap. And the one thing that's kind of interesting with our team as well is we're just barely above the cap floor still with this roster. So we are doing pretty good considering we have a good roster on paper and we're still well within the salary cap. Like you can see, we have $21 million in cap space to spend if we want to, but we're going to have to get rid of some of that to make some adjustments to our team a little bit here. So let's take a little bit of a look at Rantanen and Scarlett a little bit more in depth and see who we want to move out of the two of those guys, because obviously, like I said, I'd use Bishop as a depth defenseman. Both these guys are listed as top 6. Only one of them could take that spot. So you have Lassie Rantanen. Let's take a look at his NHL career. 5 games with 2 points in a +5 in those 5 games, which is pretty damn nice. Probably was playing like top pairing ice time. He also played 1 NHL playoff game, was -2 in that only game he played. And then also, obviously, he's a two-way defenseman. Doesn't have the best shot for a two-way, but does have good passing stats. Only 1 year left at .850. Then we go to Jimmy Scarlett, who's a right defenseman. Has now played 35 career games, -12 in those 35 career games, which isn't the best, to be honest. And in playoff-wise, he's played 5 games, and he's been a -2. So he's been a bit better defensively in the playoffs, it seems like. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe Scarlett to keep him around, but if I feel like if I trade away one Scarlett, I should trade away the other almost 2. That's the one thing. Let me look at our other defenders here. So obviously, Vandermeer is an offensive defenseman. We have Palin, who's a DFD. We have Kyrou currently, who's an offensive defenseman for at least 1 more year. We have Louis Vara, who's a two-way. We have a two-way in Vernarski. Rantanen would be a two-way. Scarlett would be a DFD. I think we have a lack of defensive defensemen, which means I think Rantanen is the guy that's on the block. Because I would like to have a couple DFDs, but you can see these 2 guys are two-way defenders. Then you have these 2 guys that are offensive defensemen, and then Palin and Scarlett could be the DFDs. So I think Rantanen is the guy that's going to have to get moved here with the backup goaltender Scarlett, just because I think it doesn't make really sense for us to keep on to him when he's pretty much the same overall as Stanley King. So we'll probably trade Rantanen and this Scarlett and try and find ourselves like a backup goaltender that we could bring in that's a little bit more average of a backup goaltender, because Stanley King looks like he's going to be the man going forward. So let's see what we could do here in terms of trades. Hopefully we could stay within the cap as well, because that'd be great. So we'll add Logan Scarlett. He's not making a lot of money as well, so that won't impact us too much cap-wise, and same with Rantanen. So we should be able to hypothetically do okay with this. Now, the thing with Rantanen is he doesn't have a lot of trade value. Scarlett has way more trade value, but that's okay. So we'll do Rantanen and Scarlett. Looks like a lot of teams might be interested in both of them. Actually, only 1 team so far. There's 2 teams interested. Okay. We might have a couple teams we can move them to. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we have a lot of teams interested in both of them, which is nice. Okay. So I would probably want to trade him, honestly. Like, Chicago does have a good backup goaltender that I was looking at that's unsigned. I think it was... Yeah, it was Brathwaite we were looking at. Is he a pending UFA at the end of the year? I don't even know, to be honest. We We might be able to make something work with Chicago. Let me take a look at if Brathwaite's a pending RFA again, because if he is, then I would obviously want to do that. But if he's a pending UFA, I don't really know too much. I don't think he's going to want a lot of money anyways, but let's see. Yeah, he's a pending RFA again, so we have a little bit more leeway with his contract. So I think that's what we're going to do, is probably make that trade with Chicago and try and get him in. Brathwaite in as our backup goaltender to basically replace Scarlett. So we're basically making our backup situation a bit worse, but I think it makes more sense for our team basically that way instead of running an 84 and an 85. So let's go back to proposed trade and see what we could do here in terms of working something out with Chicago. The only problem is the fact that it's within our division, which I don't really like, but at the same time, we got to make some moves. So let's do Scarlett here, and we'll get Rantanen in. They didn't have any interest in Scarlett. That's the only problem. But he's got enough value that they could flip him again if they really want to. So we send him those two guys. We bring in Brathwaite. And obviously we have still a lot more value on our side. So we might be able to get like a second round pick involved in this trade. Maybe. If I do the upcoming draft, another second round pick, that might be able to get it done. So basically it'd be Scarlett and Rantanen for Brathwaite. So we basically jump back goaltending wise, and we get ourselves a second round pick again for this year. So we're basically loading up on draft picks for this year that we could eventually move if we want to move up. So I think this is a good trade to make. Is it a little bit of a weird one? Sure. But we do get Brathwaite. I don't know if he's played an NHL game. I don't think so yet, right? He has not. So it's a little bit of a risk, but he's been a good AHL goaltender, very good in the AHL playoffs last season. So I'm kind of banking on the fact that, hey, maybe he'll be a good goaltender in the playoffs. And if obviously Stanley King isn't doing his job, we could turn to maybe a cheese goaltender to win us some games in the playoffs. So let's see if this works. So Scarlett and Rantanen for Brathwaite in a second round pick. Rejected. Okay. What if I added in... Do I have any picks I don't want? We have 3 first-round picks this year. We have 3 second-round picks already. We're definitely loading up on picks this year, apparently. A 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. We obviously don't need these later-round picks. They aren't as important. I will give you guys a 5th-round pick involved. I'm okay with giving you that. Let's do that. So basically, we're moving up a little bit in the draft as well. And let's see if that works. Rejected as well. Okay, what if I did a 4th round pick? I could do a 4th. I could even maybe do a 3rd, to be honest, but I feel like that wouldn't be as worth it. So 4th rounder, would that work? Still rejected. Okay, so I guess they don't really want to move that 2nd round pick, which is kind of not great, but it is what it is. What if we tried to... Do you have anything interesting in terms of forwards that are on the blog? Not really. These guys are all too high-end for my team. Yeah, there's not really anything there. Maybe we'll have to make a trade with a different team for a different backup. I like Brathwaite, though. I think he might be intriguing. So, what if I was to take your 3rd rounder for next year instead of your 2nd rounder? Or let's do a 3rd and a 4th. Let's do that. I know it's a lot of picks to basically take in still for our team, but hey, we could easily move these picks in other trades or whatever. So, Brathwaite, a 3rd and a 4th for Rantanen and Scarlett. This should go through, I think. Yep, there we go. So we made a trade with the Chicago Blackhawks. We get ourselves a new backup goaltender. Logan Scarlett is gone, which does kind of suck in a way, but at least we have Stanley King. A lot of players are not happy about that trade, but I think it's still beneficial for our team. Makes us a little bit worse backup-wise, but we do now have an okay goalie tandem. In a sense, that's not going to be basically splitting the games. And then this is our defensive core to start the season, with Scarlett being that top 6 guy and Bishop being a depth defenseman. So, yeah, I think those are the only trades we're going to make. And I'm hoping that, obviously, our roster looks as good as I'm thinking it's going to look at the start of the season. So, I don't think I'm going to sign anything free agency-wise. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to sign anything free agency-wise this year. Just not needed, really, with how good our roster is on paper. So, let me actually go decline and edit trade block because I don't really want any trade offers this offseason. So, I'm just going to remove everybody from the block and also remove all these as well. because I just don't want any trade offers, to be honest. Because, yeah, trade offers can be kind of annoying in the offseason. So, oh, why did it add something again? I just removed that. It's kind of annoying. There we go. Let's go with that and continue to simulate. Logan Cooley has been dealt to the Washington Capitals for 2 second-round picks. That's a pretty big deal for the Caps. I believe he's still like a high overall because I think we saw him in the last episode. So, Roach, one of our RFAs, has accepted. How much RFAs do we have left? I don't think a lot, right? I completely forgot that Roach was an RFA just because of the fact that he was trying to get a one-way deal. What did he end up getting paid, out of curiosity? Just over $1 million. Yeah, he might end up being a free agent after the season's done, but oh well. We need to draft more good defensive prospects, I think. I think that's definitely a high up thing on our list, considering it's kind of a little bit barren. And we have way too many good forwards at the moment still, so I don't know. We might still have a little bit of retooling to do at some stage down the road, but our roster is going to look really good this season, I think. And I'm very excited to see what Jaquezie could do in a top 6 type of role. Hopefully he has a great season. Hopefully our third line with Bickle does really well as well. Let's go here, and let's go roster moves here first and see if there's anybody we need to call up or send down. Let's see. So start off with the goaltenders. Stanley King went up to an 87. See, that's exactly why we moved out from Scarlett, because we have ourselves our 87 overall goaltender. Anybody in the system that could come up. Grant could technically be a backup goalie, which is interesting. I don't think I will use him as a backup this season, obviously, considering we just brought in Brathwaite. But, hey, maybe at some point we use Grant in the NHL. That would be interesting because he's been in the AHL for many years at this point. Nobody on the defensive side of things to come up. That's good. Offensively, nobody down there. Fairchild has jumped to an 80 and he's listed as a 4th liner. That's interesting. That is interesting for sure. Rafalski could come up instead of Lannon, because I don't know. Maybe not, actually. Lannon's how old now? 22. He was a pretty high up pick. I forgot that he was drafted by the Ducks, to be honest. I thought we drafted him, but I guess not. Okay. That's interesting. I got to decide on who I want as depth and who I don't. And we have Cam. We could call up one more player to the NHL, so I probably would want to use Cam as a depth option, I think, over Rafalski. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So Cam is going to come as the other depth option, unless we need a depth defenseman, which I don't think we do. Let's just go best AHL lines for the time being, and let's address our NHL lines here. So we are going to be running... Holy crap. Yeah, this is looking nice already. I'm liking the looks of this. Woohoo. Oh, baby. This is looking nice. Let's go. Actually, ooh, Eberle went up to an 82 as well. That's not ideal. He's a 2-way. This is a scoring forward. Oh, man. We're going to have to find a way to get him more ice time. We might have to make some adjustments still to this roster at some stage, because Goldman, he might complain about ice time unless we give him top-line PK time. I probably would take Lannon out for Fairchild. Louis Vara should be playing for sure over somebody like Bishop. Holy moly. Okay, our defensive core is going to be interesting this season. I can tell you that much. Let's go with this. Let's go with that. And let's take Bishop out for Louis Vara. Okay, that might work out to be something. Yeah, this could work out to be something here. Okay. Let me see if I could find something here. Yep, that's what we're going to run. So Vandermeer, Louis Vara, Cairo, Palin, Vernarski, Scarlett, and then King, Brathwaite. And all those guys are listed as depth, which is perfect. Okay. I could send down Lannon again and call up somebody else, but at this point, Lannon's 22. I'd rather him almost be in the NHL, I think. Trying to decide if I want to call somebody else up that's not going to really pan out. Rafalski's a minor scoring forward. Same with Ranta. I would rather keep a guy in his role, so that should be fine. Nobody scratched in the AHL, so that's good as well. Let's optimize this a little bit, though, with potential players, if there's anything we need to change, which nothing on the defensive side of things. Oh, low late there, and Hurd. Hurd should be up. Actually, that's a meme late here in Matsumoto. Matsumoto is actually getting pretty close, which is nice. We do have medium top 6 in Reason, who should be higher up in the lineup than McGillis. Probably should be where Rafalski is currently, just because of the age factor. So that's all good and ready to go. What about goalie-wise? We got Grant, who's 26 now, and Ribeiro, who we didn't draft, right? No. Huh. So we need more defensive prospects and goalie prospects, I think. Maybe a little bit more offensive prospects, too. But this team is looking really nice down the middle and on the wings. Like, you can see definitely why we got rid of Stankoven. Power play-wise, let me see these units. Looks good. I am going to take Lucius off the top one, though. And I'm going to give it to Groshek at the point instead. And then Lucius will get the second unit and that spot probably where Groshek is. I want to make sure everybody's getting a good chunk of ice time here. Jaquezie also on that second unit with Bickle, which is great. Jerry Bickle's in a prime spot to do good this season. Yeah, I like that. I know you guys were also saying about coaching adjustments. I completely forgot about that, to be honest, but I don't even know if we really needed to make coaching adjustments. So, it is what it is. Let me see the penalty kill unit again. Yeah, Goldman's on the first penalty kill, so he should be okay with this ice time. Michael Misa doesn't really work on that penalty kill unit, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, Goldman and Jaquezie seem like a very good defensive penalty killing specialist, so I like the looks of this team a lot. Groshek, Misa, Lucius, Jaquezie, Misa, Irving, Enroth, Bickle, Wilson, Fairchild, Goldman, and Eberle. Eberle might still complain about his ice time a bit, which is not ideal, but I don't really know where else I could slot him in, because I would have to swap him in Enroth, which I could do, but do I do that? Not really. No, I don't think so, because Enroth is a good shooter. I want him next to Bickle. So, what type of player is Fairchild again? A playmaker. Not the best thing for a fourth line, but that's okay. He's 23. That's what we're going to run with and see how good our team does this season. So we are pretty much good and ready to go. So let's begin the sim up to the starts of the preseason. And yeah, hopefully we have a good season ahead. I think we're going to be really well done. Like, I think without Stankoven, this team still should do very good offensively, very good defensively. Why are we getting trade offers when I just addressed my block? It readjusted it again. I don't know why it does that. I feel like you should be able to just manually do it when you feel like it. Not have the game just every start of the season just readjust your block. Kind of annoys me. Hey, I just removed you. Get away. I don't want any trade offers right now or the start of the season, because or else it's going to take too long to simulate. Okay, so start of the preseason with this new roster. We have both Mises as our top line center, which is interesting. Or top line centers, I should say. So let's get through the preseason, see how we do in the preseason. And then we'll probably simulate a good chunk here early on, like maybe to December 1st or January 1st. But I think we should be a pretty dominant team. We do go 7-0 in the preseason, as kind of we should be doing. And Michael Misa had 18 points in those 7 games, so we completely dominated the preseason, which hopefully means we dominate the regular season. I do want to take a look at who's expiring at the end of the contracts at the end of the year. Okay. The good thing is we have some flexibility after the season, because I don't know if Lucius, Luke Misa, Cairo, if all those guys are going to come back at the end of the year, because they all might want a lot of money. Yeah, see, like Luke Misa thinks he's worth 11.3, which obviously he's been a great player, but I don't think I could justify spending that much on him. And then Lucius thinks he's worth over 12. Cairo probably thinks he's worth over 10 as well. Oh, I can't even check because we just signed him. We still have so much cap space with this team too. This is ridiculous. But after those 3 guys, we have a couple RFAs at least to deal with. So, yeah. We're still going to look pretty easy in terms of contracts. Now, we have an interesting one with Stanley King. If we go 8 years, he wants 9.5. I don't know how good he's going to simulate this year, so I'm going to wait on that, obviously. But Stanley King is the big one to re-sign this offseason, if we do let go of one of these 3 players, or 2 of these 3 players even, for that matter. But let's simulate and see how our team does. Like I said, we should have a pretty good season. If we have a bad season, obviously we'll make coaching adjustments, but I don't think we're going to simulate that bad. because this roster is pretty much just as strong as it was last year, even with Stankoven and Hellenius. Like, you can kind of see why I got rid of those guys, because there's not really any room to fit them in after a certain amount of years. Let's go to November the 1st, see how we do in our first month of action. Stanley King has already pulled his groin. Well, that's not great. He becomes a starter and immediately he pulls his groin, which means Grant is going to get called up, which is kind of nice, but he would go through waivers, I think, on his way down. Maybe not. But he is 26 years of age, and he's going to get a chance to play in the NHL for a bit, which is kind of neat. So shout out to Grant. It's going to be him and Brathwaite for a little bit, which is not a great combination, but we have to make do with what we have right now goaltending-wise. So let's go back to edit lines here in the AHL. They signed us another goaltender in the Lindholm, who was not drafted, but he was a fringe starter, so that's interesting. So we'll see what Johnny Grant can do. We do lose our second game of the season, probably because our goaltending isn't as good anymore. But we win 3 in a row. Stanley King is back. Did Grant get to play any games? Because it would have been nice to see if Grant won any games or not here in the NHL. He did. He played 3 games, and he had a .916 save percentage with only a 1-0 record. Only 3 goals against in 3 games. He was actually really damn good. So that's nice to see. I mean, we're a good defensive team, so Grant doesn't get claimed on waivers, which is good because I don't think he's ever going to get claimed. But the good thing is at least we kind of have that third-string goaltender in a way if we need to call up anybody due to injury, as Stanley King will go back in there. Hopefully he stays healthy, though, because obviously, like I said, I don't really want to have to rely on 270 goaltenders, 77, 79 overall goalies the rest of the way. So King should be healthy soon, which is good. And yeah, there he is, fully healthy. And in our first month, we are going to be 5-3. So not necessarily the best start in the world, but the injury probably played a little bit of a factor. We are still second place in the Central Division after the first month. So that's pretty good. Let's go another month and continue to assimilate. See if our team can get on a little bit of a heater here soon. But yeah, we're off to a really good start again, as we would expect. We are losing a good chunk of games in regulation compared to overtime, but that's okay, because obviously if we dominate too much, we might be a first round exit. And 16-6, that's really damn good. 32 points so far, which has us as the top team in the league, above the Avalanche by 2 points. We do have one more game played than them, and we're also up on the Lightning by 2 points as well. So very good start to the season. Let's do one more month, just because I want to go to January the 1st and see where we're sitting at that point in time. What the heck's with the schedule, though? Look at this. Like, every single Saturday, we play a game, it seems like, all the way up until, like, March, almost, which is kind of ridiculous, but oh well. Let's go to the 1st of January. Or actually, that's the February, I guess, that schedule part, but still, we have a lot of Saturday games. But yeah, our team is off to a flying start. Quentin Eberle has been injured with a concussion. That sucks, but let's go replace player. That will get Lannon his first few NHL games, which is kind of nice. Always good to get young players into the lineup. And Groshek has been injured till January the 1st. That's a pretty substantial blow, but we are going to go just replace player on that. But still, that sucked when one of your better players goes down with an injury like that. But we're still dominating even without him, which is awesome, as Groshek has returned. So Cam was getting top-line ice time, which is okay with me. I'm okay with some guys getting top-line ice time that don't really necessarily deserve it, but they will get a chance to, like, prove themselves. So 28-9-1 at January the 1st. We are cruising. We're on 57 points already, which has us 6 points above the next closest team, which is the Buffalo Sabres. So there's a realistic chance we might win another President's Trophy this season, which means maybe another first-round exit like last season. But you never really know. So let's take a look at our team stats and player stats here, as we're almost at the exact halfway point of the year, and see what has been going good for us and what hasn't been. So obviously we are currently the top team in the league, as I mentioned. We do have a couple more games played in Buffalo as well, though. But still, you can see we're like pretty much 10 points up on most teams, at least in the Western Conference we are. Goals for per game wise, we are scoring a lot of goals. We are the 5th best offensive team right now. Goals against per game wise, we are currently the best defensive team. And that's even with getting rid of Scarlett, so that was great. So it's been a really good start for Stanley King. Also Grant when he got called up. And I guess Brathwaite must be doing well as well. Power play percentage-wise, we are currently one of the better teams on the power play, but not the best, which is good. Our penalty kill has been struggling, which is the exact same thing that we had happen basically the year we won the Stanley Cup and President's Trophy. We were the best team by far, but our penalty kill struggled. Then all of a sudden in the second half of the season, our penalty kill went way up. If that same thing happens, maybe we win a Stanley Cup this season. Maybe that's one of those kind of things that gets scripted into the game. I don't really know. 12-4 on home ice, 16-5-1 on the road. Pretty damn good start for sure to this season. So our penalty kills are our only problematic stage right now, but we might be just trying to go for too much goals penalty kill wise. I don't even know. But let's take a look at these player stats here. So starting off with centers, Luke Misa has been outperforming Michael Misa. That's a bit strange. I don't know if it's because Luke's a pending free agent, but he's been outperforming his brother, which is kind of weird. Then we have Chaz Lucius on 33 points. Bickle's on 25 points. He's been very good on that third line and getting some power play time. He only has 2 power play points, though. But he has been a very good setup guy, it looks like, on that third line, as we kind of hoped he would be. Goldman on only 6 assists. He has no goals in 38 games. Well, this guy doesn't seem like he's going to become much of a goal scorer at this rate, but we're more having him as a two-way forward. He has no shorthanded points up to this stage. Not getting a lot of ice time, not winning a lot of face-offs either. He's kind of not doing as much as I was hoping he would, which is kind of weird. Cam had 4 points in 6 games, so he almost had as much points as him in way less of a span. I feel like Goldman might benefit from a little bit of time in the AHL, but at the same time, I don't know if I think that's good for him too, because he's medium elite. But we could obviously try and get him more ice time, but I don't know where he could get into the lineup. Obviously, once Luke Misa leaves his team, it would be Misa, Bickle, and Goldman as the top 3 centers, so then he'd get more ice time. But right now, he's not getting enough ice time with his team, and he hasn't scored a single goal. He's only had 32 shots through 38 games. Left wing side of things, Groshek on 26 points in 32 games. He's off to a little bit of a slow start. Only 12 goals. That's interesting. He's a little bit off to a slow start because, yeah, he's only shooting 10.7% compared to last year where he shot 17%. Trying to think of what we could do to get him better because we put him on the first line power play, so you think he would be doing good, but he's not been. That's interesting. Enroth on 20 points and 10 goals. Like, Enroth almost has as much goals as Groshek does. So that's very strange that it's like that. Eberle on 8 points in 27 games before his injury, so he's not a huge offensive guy, but he was getting fourth line ice time. Landon had 2 goals in 11 games. Still, obviously, will be playing a little bit more with Eberle being out. So not bad from Landon. He did also have a fight, it looks like, which is kind of weird considering he's a playmaker. Right wing side of things, Irving on 46 points. Aiden's been great, as he normally is. He's not on pace for as much goals, I feel like, as last year. I could be wrong, but point-wise, he's having one of his best years yet, which is awesome. And in his contract, how much years do we have left on it? 3 more seasons. That's great. Jaquezi's been great. 37 points in the top 6 with 20 goals already. So he's been one of our best goal scorers again, which is kind of strange because his shooting category isn't necessarily the best on paper. It has been improving, but still it's not anything crazy. And then we have Wilson on 25 points on that third line, which is really good for a third line power play guy. And then Fairchild on 7 points only in 38 games and as a -1. Defensively, Vandermeer on 20 points. He's been damn solid. Kyrou on 19 points. He's also been solid. Louis Vara on 11. Vernarski on 11. Jimmy Scarlett on 10 points and a +27. So so Jimmy Scarlett's having a very big redemption year. Obviously, last year he played around the same amount of games up to this point, but look at the plus-minus difference. He's definitely shown that his defensive play has improved. What's really interesting is 3 of his 4 goals this season have been game winners. So he's a bit of a clutch defenseman, I guess. And we have Palin on 6 points only. How many years is Palin still signed for? 2 more seasons. Then we're going to have to start spending a good chunk of money. Goaltending-wise, I'm surprised we're the best defensive team. Because King only has a 909. So maybe we're just not giving up a lot of goals, but save percentage-wise, King hasn't been the best. So I think we're just limiting shots on goal. Maybe that's it. And then Brathwaite has an 898. So goaltending hasn't been ideal, but we are still the best defensive team. Let's take a quick look at stats around the league, just see if any of our guys are up there briefly. Koivisto up there in points. For the Ducks, best goal scorer right now. Nobody's up there for us either. Let's just take a look at defensive points. Quinn Hughes, okay. Yeah, I don't think if any of our guys are going to be up there point-wise. Stanley King is number 1 in wins right now, but like if we look at the starting goaltender stats, like we go a minimum of 20 games played, because most starters should have played 20 games. Oh, there's some that have played 30. I want to just go to 20 games though. So yeah, a lot of the starters are posting above 912s. And then you go down to Stanley King. He's down here at a 909. So he's actually one of the better goaltenders save percentage-wise, but it still seems a little strange. He is the best goaltender in goals against average through 28 games. But that could be our defensive play. That's strange. Let me get rid of this thingamajiggy that shows how much games played. Let's go to rookies to see who's been doing good for the rookies so far. Bickle's number 1 in rookie points. That's pretty amazing to see considering where he was drafted. So will Jerry Bickle end up being a Calder winner at the end of the season? Guess we'll find out next episode if we simulate the rest of the season, which we'll probably do that. I also want to take a look briefly at how good our AHL team has been doing. Just because I should probably keep track of our AHL team a little bit more often. They are not off to the best of starts. They're 15, 13, and 1. Timo Ranta leading the way. Only 4 goals for him, but 25 points. Just want to see if our top prospects are doing anything interesting, like Hurd, who's a little elite, up to a 76. He's got 19 points. He's been solid. Mishenko, not really developing much more, looks like. Matsumoto, the medium elite, still 76 as well, but he's been okay. Yeah, we need some of our top prospects to do a little bit better. Reason's got 9 goals, which is nice, but only 2 assists. Goaltending-wise, Garanta's been really solid, but I guess our team is just not scoring enough down there. Which is interesting. If we had Landon back down there, maybe he would help it out a little bit. But yeah, goal scoring wise right now, Jacquezi's been the best goal scorer on our team. Him and Aiden Irving. But yeah, Groshek has definitely fallen off a little tiny bit. He has been injured though. We almost forgot about that, I guess. So I want to take a look and see what his goals per game is like. So he's got 12 goals in 32 games, which is equivalent to 0.375 goals a game, which is not ideal. If we look at somebody like Irving, who's got 19 goals in 38 games, he's on 0.5 goals a game. So yeah, Groshek needs to pick it up quite a bit. I don't really know what the problem is with him. We could always put him on the second line instead of the first line and then put Irving back to the top line, because usually we always have Irving as the top line guy, but Groshek, maybe he needs a chance to play on the second line with Misa and Jacquezi. That does make the chemistry a little bit more balanced. So we'll try that for the start of next episode. But obviously Groshek being on the power play, he should be able to start scoring some goals. Maybe he's better down there, or maybe Irving's taking away all the goals from him. That could be a possibility. I don't know. It's a little bit weird. I didn't even realize both Misas are on the same power play unit. That's kind of neat. We could always move Groshek up there and then move Misa to the second unit, but I'd rather keep the power play the same, I think. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode over Winnipeg Jets franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to simulate the rest of the season. We'll see what our team ends up doing the second half. Obviously, we're currently the best team in the NHL. But there is a little bit of problems with the penalty kill. But I think if our penalty kill sorts itself out, there's a chance maybe we'll win a Stanley Cup again like it did a few years ago. But obviously on the pace that we're on, we might win the President's Trophy, which means maybe another early exit, which hopefully is not the case. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.